Hey, what's up, Musers? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And I have a really fun widget for you today. It's called the Parallax.js widget for Adobe Muse. And it's probably one of my favorite widgets, not just because of what it does, but because of how easy it is to use. And a little backstory, this effect is actually what got me first into web design. When I first saw this effect, I immediately fell in love with it, and I had to know how it worked and how to use it. So I'm really happy to be offering this to you for anyone who uses Adobe Muse, and you'll find that it's really easy to use and add a really cool or really nice parallax effect to your Adobe Muse website. So I'll show you the effect here. When I hover my mouse over it, all the elements move in a parallax motion, and parallax just means like different elements moving in different at different speeds, and it creates this really nice parallax effect. So I'm hovering my mouse over it, and we can see we have the effect there. And with the widget, you can set the motion. You can invert the X and Y axis. So on the X axis, we can see when I move my mouse to the left, the motion moves to the left, or the elements move to the left. And when I move my mouse to the right, the elements move to the right. And when I move down, the elements move up. So it's been inverted on the y-axis, and when I move my mouse up, the elements move down. So it's a really fun effect, and you can also add it with the Muse Motion 2 widget and add animation and parallax motion to your elements on your Adobe Muse website. So we can see this little boat here is moving, and that's using the Muse Motion 2 widget. So that's a lot of fun, and I'm actually using the Animator 1.3 to wobble this lighthouse from left to right. So we have some quite a bit of animation going on here along with the parallax. And not only can you use it for desktop websites, you can also use it on a mobile device. So I have my mobile phone here. I have an iPhone 5S. So here's the same website on mobile, and when I tilt my mobile device, all the elements move in a parallax motion. So it's a really great effect, and when I first saw this effect, I was really blown away, and it just really inspired me to get into web design. So this widget is a lot of fun, and I think you'll find it really easy to use. I'm going to recreate this entire website, and it should only take a few minutes in Adobe Muse. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and also this widget is going to be available if you go to museforyoushop.com, and if you click on the pop-up here, it'll bring you to the Muse for You shop here, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. Or if you'd like to purchase the widget individually, the widget is going to be right here where the gradient background is. So once the video is done, I'm going to place the widget right here. I just wanted to make a video tutorial first to show you how to use it, but it will be here in the shop. And then once it's in here to purchase individually, you simply click add to cart to purchase individually, or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Okay, so that's how you get access to the widget. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the website. So I'll open up Adobe Muse, I'll go to File, New Site, and I'll click OK, and I'll double click on the home page here. So I already have my images. You can use SVG images directly from Adobe Illustrator, so you can just copy and paste your images right into Adobe Muse, or you can save your images out as PNG and place it into Adobe Muse. I've decided to go with PNG in this case just because some of the layers were a little bit, for this particular image, some of the layers were a little bit tricky to copy and paste into Adobe Muse, so I just saved them as PNG. And I have all the images here. So the first thing I'm going to do is place the JPEG of the image right in here, and it's a little bit large. Yeah, I think what I did for this one, I did it 900 pixels wide. So let me check one of these images. Get info. Yep, 900 pixels wide. So I just made the image smaller when I saved the different elements. And I did all that in Illustrator. All right, so what I want to do here is make the width of this image 900 pixels wide. So I'll just change the width to 900 pixels, and because this is constrained, it changes the height as well. So now I have a 900 by 600 image, and all the elements will fit perfectly onto this image. So I have all the elements here saved individually. The only element I didn't save was this lighthouse text because I didn't feel like I really needed it there. So I'll go ahead and place each of the elements on top of the image. So I have this first image, and I don't want to place it inside the frame, so I'll place it outside. So it just pastes as its own image, and I'll place it right there, right where it needs to be. Looks good. And then I'll grab this other layer, which is another wave, and this one was right in front, so I'll just put it right in front there. And then we have, let's see, we have this layer. Nope, that's the one I just pasted. So I believe it's this layer. Yep. And we'll place it right there. And I'll arrange and send to back. Okay, so we can't see it because it's behind the JPEG. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is create a new layer in Adobe Muse and just place the JPEG on this new layer and bring this layer below all the other layers. So we can see the main layers here, and I can even like make this layer not visible so that I can see the elements I'm working with. And that wasn't the wave I was looking for. Oh, it's right over here. Okay, so yeah, it was just over here in my Finder. So let me delete that. So we have this wave, and now we have this really light blue wave. Yep. So I'll put that right here. Okay, there we go. All right, and I'll arrange and send this wave to the back. So now we have this wave, and this wave. And when you're working with your elements and you're building your image, you'll work a lot with sending things to the back and arranging the elements differently so that the right elements are on top of each other. All right, so now I'll bring this little hill here, and I have to remember not to paste inside the image frame because then the image becomes as big as the image frame. So I'll place this one right over here, right on top there. I'll bring in this one here, and I'll place it right in here, just like that. And we have this one here, just like that. And okay, let me undo that and do that again. Paste that in here, and I'll bring that one right there. And so I'll arrange, send to back. That looks good. I'll bring in the lighthouse, just like that. I'll place it on top. Perfect. And I'll arrange, send to back. And let's see, I'll bring in the sun. Place that right up there. Looks good. I'll bring in the clouds, or the birds, right in here. Looks good. I'll bring in the clouds. Perfect. And yeah, actually I have a different set of clouds that fit in the entire width. Yeah, perfect, right there. Okay, we'll just place it over just like that. All right, looks good, and I think that's it for now. Yep. Oh, and we have the boat. I'll bring in the boat a little bit later because I'm going to animate it with Muse Motion 2. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my layers panel. I'm going to uncheck layer 1 just so I can see if I have all the arrangement correct for the elements. So the lighthouse is actually in front of this little hill and behind the other two hills. So let me bring up back the layer, and okay, yep, let me, oh yeah, and this one arrange, send to back, yep. And then I'll go to my layers panel, select this one, I'll bring this one to the back, and I'll bring the lighthouse, if I can find it, where's the lighthouse? Right there. And I'll bring that to the back as well. Perfect, so now we have, oh, and I have to bring this element to the back, or behind the waves. Yep, just like that. Okay, so you'll probably work a lot with the layers panel and moving the layers around, and yeah, and then arrange and send to back or bring things to the front as well. Okay, and you can select the different layers by clicking the square here, and that'll select the layer or that particular element. All right, so let's see if I got everything correct. And actually this little one is in front of the big one. So let me select that little one and bring like that, and now it's on top of this bigger hill here. Okay, So now I have all my elements and they look great. So I'm going to uncheck the visibility for layer 2, and I'm going to make the entire background that blue color. So what I'll do is I'll actually click in Adobe Muse, I'll click in the browser fill, I'll select the sample color tool, and I'll sample this blue right here. And that makes the whole browser fill the same blue color as this image here in the background. And so now I'll uncheck layer 2, and we have the image there. So if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we have the image, looks nice. And that was it. We just brought in all those different elements individually and just organized them in Adobe Muse so that they're on top of, on top of each other correctly. So now the next thing I'm going to do is bring in the Parallax.js widget. So I'll go to my library panel. If you don't see your library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library, and that'll bring up the library panel. So I'll just scroll down to Parallax.js, which is right here. For the first breakpoint, or the main breakpoint, you want to bring in Parallax.js, just the Parallax.js widget. If you have any breakpoints, you'll want to bring in the breakpoints widget after the first breakpoint, and I'll go over that in this video tutorial. So for the first one, I'll click in Parallax.js widget, and I'll click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. Okay, so there we have the widget, and there are the widget options. I'll just close the library panel here. So I'll bring up the widget options, and as we can see, we have instance number, we have graphic styles, we have movement and scene options, and I'll go over all of these widget options. For the first instance, because it's the first instance of the Parallax.js, I'm going to leave it at 1. But here we see we have scene graphic style name, and it's scene 1. And what the scene is going to be, the scene is a rectangle that you place behind all of the elements, so that the Parallax.js widget knows that that area is going to have parallax motion, and I'll go over that as well. And then you can add up to 12 different graphic style names for a scene, so you can have 12 different elements in a scene, and they're all layer 1 through layer 12. So what we need to do is assign all those graphic style names to the layers. So we'll go ahead and do that first. So I'll click on this first element here. I'll go to my graphic styles panel. If you don't see your graphic styles panel, you can just go to Window and click on graphic styles. Okay, so now I'm in my graphic styles panel. I've clicked on this first element. I'll go here, I'll click on this little symbol that says create a new style from the attributes applied, and it kind of looks like a piece of paper with a folded corner on the left. So I'll click there, and here we have a new graphic style, so I'll double click, and then I'll call this layer 1 so that it matches the graphic style name in the widget, which was layer 1 through layer 12. Okay, now I'll go to this next element. I'll click on the graphic style, and I'll say layer 2. And it doesn't really matter what order you go in for the layers, as long as you know which layer corresponds to which movement, and I'll go over that as well. So now I'm on the third layer, so I'll click new graphic style, and I'll say layer 3. I'll click on this hill here, and I'll say layer 4. I'll click on this one, this little thing here, this hill, and I'll call it layer 5. And then to get that one that's kind of way in the back, I'll go to my layers panel, and I'll just find it real quick. Let's see. Yep, it's right there. It's all the way in the back. And I'll call this layer 6. Then I'll select the lighthouse. So I'll go to my layers panel and select the lighthouse right there. And I'll call this layer 7. And then I'll select the birds here. I'll create a new layer. I'll call this layer 8. Then I'll select the clouds, new layer. I'll call this layer 9, and I'll select the sun as well. So the sun, see if I can find it right there. And I'll call this layer 10, just like that. All right, so we've assigned the graphic style names to all the layers. Now the next thing I want to do is create the scene, which is going to be a rectangle that covers all of the elements and is placed all the way in the back. So to do that, I just select the rectangle tool, and I'll hold down, or I won't hold down shift, but I'll create a rectangle over all of the elements, and then I'll make the rectangle 100% width. So that it needs to be 100% width to cover the entire browser width, and then I'll right click, arrange, and send to back. So I made it 100% width by going here and resize and saying stretch to browser width, and then I right clicked, arrange, and send to back. Okay, and then I want to give this rectangle a graphic style name, scene 1. So I'll go to my graphic styles, I'll click a new graphic style, and I'll call it scene 1, just like that. All right, so as we can see in the widget options, we have the graphic style options. For the scene graphic style name, we gave it that rectangle. We gave it the graphic style name scene 1, and then we applied layer 1 through 10 to all the elements. Okay, and it doesn't matter if layer 11 and 12 don't have any elements, that's okay. That's just not going to register that there's any elements for it. All right, so now I'll go to File. Yeah, that's all we have to do there. So I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and we have Parallax Motion to all the elements. It's as easy as that. As you know, all the steps I just went through, you can just do that and add Parallax Motion to your elements on your Adobe Muse website. Okay, so as we notice, some of this movement isn't great. Like this first wave has too much movement. To change the movement of each of the elements, you just go to the movement options, and here you can set a movement from 0 to 1. And then what this does, the 0 to 1, if it's all the way at 1, it's going to use all of these scene options to the max. It's going to have the maximum movement. If you set it to 0, it's not going to move at all, and anything in between is just moving less or more. Okay, so for that first element, we can see it had a movement of 1, which is the max movement, and each of these movements correspond to the layers. Like layer 1 corresponds to movement 1. So each of these graphic style names has its corresponding movement. Okay, so layer 1, the movement was a little bit too much, and it was that first wave. So I'm just going to set it to 0.4 instead of 1. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and that first wave isn't moving as much. And we can do that with all of the other elements. So I could just go ahead and change all of the movement in the movement options. For the scene options, you can do a few things. You can have relative input and clip relative input, and what that does is it takes the area of the scene and not the browser, and it moves within the scene and not the browser. I like having this unchecked because depending on how big the browser is, it just has more movement to it, and the user can move the elements a bit more. And I go over that in the documentation as well. And calibrate X and calibrate Y, what this does is that it calibrates the movement of the scene or all of the elements with the first where the elements are initially, and you can experiment with this and see what the difference is, but it just takes the values of where the elements are placed initially and calibrates the X and Y movement on those particular points. And then invert, and that's more in the documentation as well. And then invert X and invert Y. What that does is that it kind of inverts the mouse movement. So if you click on invert X, if you scroll your mouse to the left, the elements will move to the right. And if you invert Y and you hover your mouse down, the elements will move up. And if you hover your mouse up, the elements will move down. And then you can limit the how much the elements move by entering in a value here. You can enter in a number or type in false. If you type in false, the element has complete freedom to move. And here you can just set limits if you want a certain element not to move so much. Okay, and you can limit it on the X or on the Y axis. And this covers all of the elements. So it would limit all of the elements if you entered in a number here. And scalar X and scalar Y is just how much movement you want to add to the elements. So if I say 30 here, it's going to have a lot of movement, and friction is just how much friction you want to add to the movement of the element. So if you add more friction, the movements won't move as much, or they'll have a little bit more friction to them. And you can add friction on the X and on the Y axis. And the origin is just from what place the elements move. So you can have them move from the center, you can have them move from the top left, the top right. Setting it to 0 will move the origin all the way to the left. Setting it to 1 will move it all the way to the right. And on the y-axis, setting it to 0 will move it all the way to the top, and setting it to 1 will move it all the way at the bottom. Okay, so you can experiment with these options and see what works best for your particular parallax motion. And I'll just invert the X here as well, just for demonstration. And here I changed the scalar X and scalar Y to 30. So I essentially doubled the movement. So there's going to be a lot of movement in the parallax scene here. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And when I move my mouse, we have a lot of movement, which is a lot of fun. All right, and we can see that these hills go below the wave, so I would work with that so that these hills don't go under the wave when I'm moving the mouse, just like that. So as you can see, it's a lot of fun. You have a lot of options to play with and a lot of options that change the movement of the parallax motion. So that's a lot of fun there. All right, and that's basically it for adding it to your website, the Parallax.js widget. The next thing I'm going to cover is adding it to breakpoints. If you're working with adaptive design, you just need to copy and paste the different elements to those layouts, and then copy a new. You actually can just copy and paste from the desktop to the different layouts, and you'd want to copy the elements and the widget. Because adaptive layouts don't inherit anything from the different layouts, you don't have to really change anything. You can just copy what you did on the desktop version to the tablet version and the mobile version and just resize the elements, and it'll work great for those different devices. On breakpoints, it's a little bit different because breakpoints are inheriting. Sometimes they inherit different things from different layouts. So for a breakpoint, what we want to do is I'm going to create a 320 breakpoint. So I'm going to right click, add breakpoint, and I'm going to say 320, and this is for an iPhone 5S. And as we can see, all the elements they got smaller, which is good, but they're a little bit out of position, or quite a bit out of position. So all I'm going to do here is realign all of the elements. So I'll go to my layers panel and I'll bring in that image again. And what's great is that the image got smaller too, or the images are all responsive. So I just have to match up the elements again to this first image. So I'll just align this here. I'll bring this. I want to call it a planet because it looks like a little planet, but they're like hills. And then I'll bring this one here. And as we can see, all the layers are perfectly in the right order because they just inherited from the desktop. So we can just place all the elements in the right place, just like that, and the clouds or the birds here. And let me zoom in a little bit more just so I can really make sure that I'm aligning this correctly, just like that. And then we have the clouds, just like that. Perfect. And then the sun. Let me move this down so I can access the sun, or I'll have to select it in the layers panel. So the sun is right there. Perfect. Looks good. All right, so I've aligned everything. Looks good. And let me just move this over a little bit here. Everything else looks good and perfect. So there's our image, and we have the rectangle in the back as well. So now if I go and try to preview this in the browser, I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and we can see for the desktop it works really well. So now I'm going to go to the responsive version of this website. So I'm going to go to my Safari, or go to Safari, then I'm going to go to Develop, enter Responsive Design Mode, and here we can see if I hover my mouse over it, it doesn't move. So what we need to do with breakpoints is add the Parallax.js widget, the breakpoints version. So the first thing I'm going to do is hide this widget on this breakpoint. So I'm going to right click and hide in breakpoint. So that widget is only corresponding with the desktop version, which is the 960 breakpoint. So we can only see that widget on the 960 breakpoint. So what I'm going to do now is go to my library panel, and I'm going to type in Parallax.js, and I'm going to bring in the Parallax.js widget breakpoints. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. Okay, so here's the widget, and if I open the widget options, we can see that the instance number, or we have instance number, we have graphic styles, and we have scene options. Scene options. And if you notice, we don't have all the layer graphic style names, and that's because these elements were inherited from the desktop version. We don't have new elements. these elements are actually the same as the desktop, but they're just responsive, so they're smaller on the 320 breakpoint. So we don't have any new graphic styles. The graphic styles are inherited as well. So if we go to the graphic styles panel, all of these elements have the same graphic styles. And that's what's great about the breakpoint version. It's just inheriting from the first breakpoint or the desktop breakpoint, and all we have to do is change the instance number and the scene graphic style name. We do need to change the rectangle in the background. So for this rectangle, I'm going to right click and hide in breakpoint. So that's the scene rectangle, and it only pertains for the desktop one. The scene one is for the desktop one. So we want to create a new rectangle. So I'll click on the rectangle tool. I'll create a new rectangle, and I'll right click, arrange, send to back, and then I'll give this rectangle a new graphic style name. So I'll go to graphic styles, I'll create a new graphic style, I'll double click on style and call this scene 2 so that it pertains to this particular widget right here. So we can see the instance number is 2 because it's the second instance of the widget on the breakpoints, and then the scene graphic style name is scene 2, so it doesn't override the scene 1 graphic style name. Okay, and then we want to hide this widget in other breakpoints so it doesn't show up on the 960 breakpoint. So we can see the 960 breakpoint has its own widget, and the 320 breakpoint has its own widget as well, which is the Parallax.js breakpoints widget there. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and we can see it works for desktop. And now if I go back into Safari and I paste that URL again, it works on mobile as well. Oh, and one thing I didn't do, you always want to make sure that that rectangle, that scene rectangle in the back is 100% width. Otherwise you won't get a movement on the y-axis. It'll just move kind of on the x-axis. So here in resize, I'll just go there and I'll say stretch to browser width on the rectangle. So I've selected the rectangle, I've gone to resize and stretch to browser width. All right, looks good. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And again, I'll copy this URL, go into Safari and paste. And now we have Parallax Motion on the mobile device, and it looks great. All right, and then iPhone 6s is inheriting the elements from the desktop version because it's bigger than 320 pixels, which is the breakpoint we set for the iPhone 5s. So we just want to make another breakpoint if we wanted the parallax motion on a tablet phone or on different breakpoints there. All right, looks good. So you would add the Parallax.js breakpoints to other breakpoints after the desktop version or the desktop breakpoint. All right, so that looks good there, and that's basically it for adding the parallax motion on different breakpoints and adding to the initial desktop version there. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well, let me go back into the website. In the different breakpoints, you can have different scene options. So for the mobile, I can set it really high for the movement, and I can take off invert Y just like that. And I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And we can see for the desktop, the invert Y is on. And if we go to the desktop or the mobile version, the 320 breakpoint, we can see it has a lot of movement and the Y axis is not inverted. So you can actually have different scene options for different breakpoints, which is a lot of fun. So you can have, for different devices, you can have it work a little bit differently. So we've gone over, so that's for the breakpoints. So now if you want to add it, add it to an adaptive layout, I'll create a new site. So I'll go to File, New Site, and I'll click OK, and I'll double click in here. And what I'll do for this is just copy all the elements from the desktop version, and I'll just simply paste just like that, and looks good. And I'll set the browser fill to that blue color right here, so that looks good. And if I wanted to add it to other layouts, I'll just go to Page, Add Alternate Layout, and I'll say Tablet, and I'll just say OK. I don't want it to copy anything, and I'll copy all these elements again. I probably could have copied these onto the tablet. So now I'm in the tablet version, and I'll just paste. And all I'd have to do here is resize all the elements. I don't have to add any different widgets. I just copied the widget and the elements because on adaptive, each version of the website isn't inheriting anything from the other website. So it's just like almost a new website unto itself. So I can go to page, add alternate layout, add a phone, click OK, and then, oops, not do that. I'll go to plan, I'll go to the phone version and paste. So it might not, I'll go to file, preview page in browser, and we can see everything works there. I think it's because these are out of the frame, it's not looking so great there. So it just takes kind of moving or making the elements smaller so that they fit within that device, and then everything will work correctly for that particular device. And the same with tablet. I'll go to file, preview page in browser, and everything moves there. So for the phone, we just need to like make everything really small because I think everything is just kind of really off the website there. All right, so that's it for adaptive design. And let me see if there's anything else I want to cover. This is the breakpoint site. Yeah, and there is one more thing I want to cover, or another thing I want to cover here. If you had another breakpoint and you wanted completely new elements, you didn't want to inherit any elements from the main breakpoint or the desktop breakpoint, you simply go to library here, and then you do, we'll do Parallax.js. And instead of breakpoints, you'll want to add additional and do the same thing that I showed with the breakpoints that I showed earlier with the breakpoints. Just do it with the additional. So I'll actually bring it in here. And for the additional, it's just like the first one. So you can assign graphic style names to the elements, and it has instance number 2, and the movement. You can add the different movement there and just have all these options to work with. So when you're adding a completely new scene or a completely new motion to another breakpoint, you'll just want to change the layer names so that they don't correspond with the first breakpoint, which is in this case is the 960 breakpoint. So you'll just want to, let's say instead of layer 1 through 12, you could do layer 13 through layer 24, and assign those graphic style names to the new elements, and just make sure that the scene is scene 2 and place it behind all the elements, and that the instance number is instance number 2, and you can have a unique scene with different elements and different motions for the different breakpoints. So if on a mobile you just wanted a really small parallax motion that didn't have all these elements, you could just add the additional and add new graphic style names to those elements. So you can add a completely new scene on different breakpoints, and it doesn't inherit the graphic style names from the first breakpoint, which is 960. So you can inherit elements and graphic style names, or you can add a completely new graphic style names and new elements on different breakpoints. So that's a lot of fun there, and I'll go ahead and delete this additional here. So I'll go ahead and preview one more time in the browser. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in browser, and I'll move it around there. Looks good. And I'll go into the mobile device and move it around in there. Looks good. And in Safari, if you go into enter responsive design mode, you can see your website on different devices and different widths there. So you have iPhone 4S, iPhone 5S, iPhone 6S, iPhone 6S Plus, iPad Mini 4, iPad Air 2, iPad Pro, 800 by 600, 1366 by 768, and 1920 by 1080. All right, so that's a lot of fun when you're working with breakpoints and responsive design. You can see how your website is looking on those different breakpoints there. So that looks good. All right, and I would work with this a little bit. I would take some of the motion off these hills, so I'd probably go in here, and for the hills, let's see layers or graphic styles. We have layer 5, so I think it's layer 4, 5, and 6. I'm gonna say, so I'll go in here, layer 4 in the movement, so I'll go to movement 4, I'll say like 0.2, layer 5, I'll say 0.2, and layer 6, I'll say 0.2 as well. All right, so I'll go to File, Preview Page in browser, and if I move, we can see that those hills aren't going below the waves, and I'd work on the waves a little bit too, and definitely the lighthouse, because that lighthouse is having too much fun there, moving way too much. So let's change that real quick. So let me find the lighthouse. So the lighthouse is right there, and we'll go to graphic styles. It's layer 7. So I'll go to layer 7, I'll go to movement 7, and we can see it's at the max movement. That's why it's moving quite a bit. I'll say 0.4, and I'll go to file, preview page in browser, and there it is. It's not moving as much. And I also added the animator to it, so I'll just do that real quick. I'm not going to do the Muse motion too much. I might do that in another video tutorial because I don't want this video tutorial to get too long. So I'll go to my library panel, and I'll say the animator, and I'll bring in the animator initial, the animator 1.3. For the graphic style name, I'll say layer 1 or layer 7 because that's the graphic style name of the lighthouse. And then here I just want it to wobble left to right. The duration, I'll say 5 seconds, so it wobbles kind of slow. On start is good, and I do want to loop the animation. All right, so that looks good there. All right, so I'll go to file, preview page in browser, and we can see that the lighthouse wobbles and the parallax motion is on the elements. So that looks great. All right, and you can bring in the Muse motion widget. So I'll just do that real quick. I'm not gonna add too much motion to it, but I'll bring that in real quick in here, and I'll bring in the sequence. I'll say 2D transformations sequence. I'll add that in there, and then I'm just gonna change the graphic style names to the elements. So I'll open it up. I'll say animation 1, say layer 1, close that. Animation 2, I'll say layer 2, animation 3, I'll say layer 3, animation 4, layer 4, I'll go to animation 5, I'll say layer 5, and they're just going to fade in for now. I'm not adding any animation to them, just to kind of show that it can work, it works really well. I'll say layer 7 with Muse Motion 2. So you can create a really nice intro for your website. Maybe for the first animation, I'll have it do a 360, just like that. So I'll enable rotate and say 360. So that first wave is going to rotate. It's not going to look that great, but we'll check it out. So there, that first wave rotates, and all the elements fade in. So the clouds here don't have animation to it there, but looks good. So all the elements are fading in, and we have the lighthouse wobbling with the animator 1.3, and we just have a really cool effect there. And I'll take off the rotate so we can preview it one more time, and just check it all out. And actually, yeah, let me take out the Muse motion. All right, so you can add the Muse motion to it and add really nice effects with parallax motion to your elements here and to your Adobe Muse website. So there we have it on desktop. And one more time, I'll go into mobile, paste, and there we have it on mobile. And we'd work with that as well. Change, some of the movement there, maybe not so much movement to the mobile, and we can change that in the scene options. All right, so that looks good. I have gone over all of this in the documentation. I had a lot of fun creating this widget. I'm really excited to be offering it, and I'll be using it myself because it's a lot of fun, and you can design a lot of great things with this widget. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, to access this widget, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and then here you can click on the pop-up. And here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to use PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. Or if you'd like to purchase the widget individually, it is going to be here where this gradient background is. You can click on the widget, and here you can click add to cart to purchase individually. Or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.